Hi everybody. I hope you guys are doing well. It's been a while, right? Like I'm doing this after a long time. Today we're gonna go live with Radhika Venkat. We're gonna talk about. I've read like 3 of her books. We're gonna let me just send her a request and we can just continue. Yes. Hi.
Hello, Zainab. How are you?
I'm good. Good. How are you?
Yeah, doing well.
Like, am I audible? Is it everything okay? Like,
Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
okay. Like I'm so excited to do this finally. Like, it's been so long and I've been waiting to do this as well. So yeah, so excited to have you here. How have you been? Like, how's everything right now over there?
Yeah, it's good, but it's extremely hot now in Chennai. So the heat
Yeah.
waves are only making us tired. Otherwise, it is going on well.
Yeah, I've been to, Kerala, I think last month. It was not Kerala, I think it's not very hot. It's like somewhere on the middle. But in Tamil
Yeah,
Nadu, I
it is
it's
it's
been like
very scorching hot. Just
even in Gujarat here right now, it's starting to get really hot, and the Ramadan is going on, so it's
yeah,
been like really tough.
I can.
Okay, so uh, tell us about yourself. What do you
Yeah,
do?
I'm Radhika. So I can introduce myself in two ways, as an author or as a teacher. So I have chosen the profession of teaching, but writing has been always part of my life. So I kept writing. It started with reading, and then I slowly progressed to always writing. So I think these are the two interests of my life: teaching and writing. So this is what I have to say about myself.
Okay,
I live
so
in
you are
Chennai, and I come from the hills. I stayed in Ooty and Kannur when I was born. I was in Kannur for 20 years, and then I have shifted to this place after a long time. And my inspiration behind my stories has always been my school days and my college days, and certain things of parts which are part of life every day.
so
Yes.
you are a teacher as well. So how
Mhm.
is it? How are you like as a person? How are you different as an author? Like, how is it different?
See, I cannot say that the person is different, but what I cannot express maybe in real life or what I've seen in real life. No, every time we are not able to express what we want. So the author part is actually one part of my personality where I'm able to express what I feel. So in that way, I think there is a lot of difference between the original me and the author. And more so, I start living with my characters. I think anyone who writes will be able to relate to that. So we are almost living with our characters, that I feel that all the characters that I introduce sometimes are there in my house. So as such, I don't feel there is much of a difference. But the greatest difference will be in expression. So certain things we are not able to express or say or bring a change. Certain things we like. As a teacher, I would definitely like to see some changes in the educational system, so that when I am not able to represent, or as a woman, we will be facing some circumstances where we felt we could have been treated
Yeah.
better. So at that circumstance, when we're not able to express ourselves, there a dormant Radhika will be there. But the author is more bold. She can express herself.
Yeah.
So I think the
Yeah.
boldness is the difference.
Okay. So you were always into reading, right? That's how you
Yeah,
got
yeah.
into writing. So what like really inspired you to like publish your book, and like how when did it start like writing and everything?
Yeah, right. I started writing in my school days around 8th standard or 9th standard. But then I was like, I didn't really approach someone with it. And it was like a very preliminary stages. It was like very much a replica of the books I was actually reading. So at that point of time, I think Nancy Drew was Nancy Drew, Hardy Boys, Enid Blyton, all those were my inspirations initially to start with. So the stories that I built upon were basically almost the same with a few character changes or something like that. The maturity at that age was so much. But then when I reached around 8th standard, I entered some short story writing competition and I won a gold medal. So that was my first recognition, which really thought that, okay, what I write is like making a difference. It matters. So from that, I started writing, and then right from my college and school days, I started publishing articles and stories in magazines. That time, like I told you, I was placed in Connor, and Chennai, that was called Madras at that time, and that was the only place where we could really do something. So I have spent so many long hours learning typing and typing on some old Remington typewriter, putting a whitener and changing those marks and sending the papers, and they got accepted, and I was very happy. So at that time, there was a magazine here called Galleon, which really, took stories from whoever. They didn't care about the background, provided the story was good. So that only propelled me actually to go forward. And then I wrote quite a lot of stories at that time. And with changes in our lifestyle, everything changed. So once I came to Chennai, I started giving more importance to my career and then a family. I just put everything away. But still, I had quite a few stories which were not published at that time. Then finally, I think so 2 3 years back in 20, I came across through this WhatsApp and Facebook and all, I came in touch with my old school teachers. And my English teacher who taught me in school, Mrs. Judy, she's no more. She was the one who actually told me, at least now you can publish it, come on, do it. And she was the one who really inspired me to restart that process.
Okay. So, how did writing and being an author helped you as a person to grow?
So initially, I think I didn't realize the worth of that writing. So only now I have really begun to understand what it has done to me. See, everybody thinks from an angle like how much money you have made with your books, how popular you have become. Is it a bestseller? Okay. So I feel that these are all part of only, those are not the things which actually define the success of a book. The success of a book is in how many people are able to relate to it and what it has changed in the lives of people who are reading it and who is writing it. So as an author, I feel like I told you, no, I don't know whether it may be the age. So once you reach your 40s, women become more defiant. They stand up for themselves and they feel that they can make a difference to their own lives. So partly it must be the hormones kicking in and those sort of things. But then my writing has really emboldened me to take so many steps which I would have hesitated to take in the younger days. And I only feel like I should have done it before. So that feeling is there. And I am able to be a good role model to my children now and make them bolder. I have 2 daughters. So I feel that way it is really, it's a tool of emancipation. Like how we say women need financial freedom, we need freedom of expression. And in that way, the books have really helped me come out of so many situations which would have otherwise pulled me inside, and locked me. This writing has introduced me to many people also, bold women especially, and other men. Earlier I used to have a sort of mentality from the kind of men I saw that mostly men are chauvinistic. This is how they behave. So from the society which I've seen, but I was able to meet a lot of authors who are so much ahead of their times and who support what we women feel without actually saying feminist and those sort of things.
Yeah.
So it has made a sea of change in my life, definitely.
Okay. So, how was the process for like publishing your first book, and like how long did it took?
Initially, see, I didn't have a problem about the manuscript because it was all ready for a long time. And like I said, it was all hard copies. That day, there was no system so easily. It was not available. So I had to first, since but my typewriting skills were still there. So I didn't have much of a trouble in typing it out. I didn't want to give it out to get it typed or anything. So that we could make some changes. And some of the stories were, like fit for days 20 years back, not now. So there are stories where where the communication between two important characters would be through an inland letter, which I doubt people even know what it is now. So or a landline phone. So those sort of, it was a little older. So I had to bring in a few modifications in that. And then a few of the stories I felt were too emotional. Maybe at that stage, like I told you, for the age, they were too emotional. There was the heroine who used to cry volumes. And then, I changed those things. So I brought it in a different way. So you can express yourself without crying. So those lot of changes, it took me around a month. And then I had to put in few stories which would really sink in with times of today, and which I really wanted to bring in, with a sort of a small touch of comedy or something like that, instead of being such serious and stories. So these changes took me some time, and I got in touch with a few publishers, and I was really not in a position to decide which stage to go to. So finally, we had to zero in on one, and I went for it. And I think the first book came out quite well. It was a collection of short stories, A Canopy of Carnations. And I think that was received well, and I sold quite a few copies with that.
Yeah.
So that was the first starting. Yeah.
It's really, yeah. I got it with me while traveling, so it was really nice to read some stories from different places. Okay, so what do you think is like the most difficult part and the best part about writing?
Say the most difficult part comes when you feel like writing, you're dying to write, but you don't have time to sit down and do it because you're bogged down with your other responsibilities. That is really, it is very trying time. No, you feel like writing, but you can't write it. So that I think is the most difficult stage. But the best stage is when you really put down something and the first draft itself comes out as the best and you like it. Sometimes I have spent hours together writing something and then tearing it up because I felt something is not good. It's not good enough. But there have been some times when I just scribbled a few words without even putting in some effort, and it just flows. What you need is there. And we have tools, so many tools when we type automatically. Now I have stopped like writing, instead of writing manually, I'm directly typing. So in one way that is helping me. So that I think is the easiest one. If you sit down and you're able to get it right the first time, that is a sense of achievement
Yeah.
which you really feel. So
Yeah, and what you told is relevant in real life also, like sometimes you give like too much effort into something and that thing doesn't turn out good. Like in
yeah,
anything, in career wise or I think in personal life, and sometimes like it just happens like instantly. So
right.
it's like happens in every person's life, I guess. Okay. So, what advice do you like to give to all the aspiring authors out there?
Um, See, I would like to say something. I don't know how many of them would stand by what I say. Um, if you want to sell your books, you should write from your heart. So you are, of course, we need a little promotion and those sort of activities for anything that you step into nowadays. But your focus should be on what you write, and that writing, I feel it should make some sense and meaning to some people. Some change or some positivity it should bring in at least the lives of a few people. If you're able to connect with your readers that way, then that is the biggest achievement as a writer that you can get. Of course, we have our own pluses, like where we are able to express ourselves or our ideas. And I think we should have at least, see now if you have a collection of short stories, at least 2 or 3 stories that will definitely help somebody move in their life positively. So focus on changing the society and changing the thoughts of the society. That is possible only through writing and reading. So that is my sincere request to all the authors to think of the society as a whole and write whatever they are writing.
That's true. So, are you reading anything currently?
Yeah, I read. See, what I read is very different from what I write. So when I write stories which are centered on feelings of humans,
Yeah.
emotions. Some, like I said, it can be the stories that will give us a lesson or some things that connect with the heart. But what I read is I like to read a lot of science fiction, and I like to read John Grisham those courtroom stories and those sort of things. So I got Robin Cook for some past few months, and I was crazy. It's a period. Sometimes I feel like reading those. Then I go, but I spend most of the time reading Grisham, Robin Cook, because I like the way his science stories evolves. It brings a lot of adrenaline rush there is there in those stories. And then I like Jeffrey Archer also. So these three I keep reading continuously.
Okay. And do you have like any authors that you can name as an influence, living or dead?
Any authors who I would
And you can name as your influence in
definitely
your journey.
Ayn Rand, The Fountainhead, Atlas Shrugged. Those are books that are, that gave me life, I would say. So, see, there I don't like philosophical books actually, because I get bored. So I need some fiction to carry me along. But this sort of philosophy and fiction mixed, I have not seen in any author so far. So it will be either fiction or philosophy, but Ayn Rand stands apart in that way. So if you're looking for some confidence in life, at the same time you need a little, that happiness which you get when you read fiction, then I think Ayn Rand is the best. So any day, if you give me, I can read Ayn Rand's books, even repeat the same book even 10 times. So there is no doubt.
So, if you could recommend only one book to anyone out there, uh, which book would it be to read? Obviously.
Definitely The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand.
Okay, and what advice would you like to give to your younger self?
You are important, I would like to say to myself. I would like to tell myself that I should have taken care of myself also instead of giving so much to others. And when I was making so much of time to see that all the others around were well, everybody was doing good, everybody was happy. But I put aside many of my feelings. I put aside a lot of things which I wanted to do. And maybe now I'm able to do it, but I could have still done it sometime back, and I could have made myself a little more positive. So I would have told myself, if it was a younger self, to love myself a little more.
Yeah, that's not being selfish. You need to uh, take care of yourself and keep your things in consideration as well. Okay. Um, are there any new upcoming launches that you can share something about?
Yeah, my next idea is only a collection of short stories. See, whatever it is, short stories always have been the plus for me. I usually like short stories a lot to write, but I don't like to read short stories so much. But I really like to write it because it gives me varied emotions I'm able to bring in. And see, when you read a novel, you're able to read maybe the whole book is of the same genre. But when you read short stories, you get a refreshing feel. You're able to touch so many aspects. So I am working on writing a short story next. And I have a sequel to this last book which I wrote, Behind the Golden Bars of Freedom. That's basically for children. It's based on a hostel, a child who lives in a hostel. So I would like to bring out the sequel to that next. And Contrived Connections, my second book, actually I have got to translate it now in Tamil. And I'm going to launch it very soon. A very close friend of mine has done it for me. And I have not said anything about this so far, but then I'm waiting eagerly to see that, because that book is not, it's close to my heart, because she's an English professor, the lady who translated that English to Tamil for me. She's extremely good at English and Tamil. And we have worked on it together, and she's translated. Generally, a translator's job is only to translate. But she has done more than that. She has put in her heart and soul. She has felt with the characters as she translated it, and she has done a really nice job. So I'm looking forward to how it will be received, since it's a Tamil book and I'm having it for the first time.
Okay, so when can we expect to see it? Right.
So maybe within a month, definitely, I expect the translation to come.
Okay. And what is your favorite place to read and write?
I actually run a tuition center. So I have an office room there, and that is my favorite place. It is quite cool compared to the rest of the place because it is the basement. And nobody actually disturbs me here. I feel sort of connected with the place. When I come here, I feel like writing. So, see, there is more than a distraction. No, there is some happiness and solitude at times. So when you're alone, when you're lonely, it is a different thing. But when you're alone and you're happy, that feel I get in this place a lot. So that gives me the correct environment to write. So any day I would prefer to sit in my tuition center in my office room and write. That is the best place for me.
And what about reading? Like, do you like to read?
Reading, it's becoming a really, such a big task nowadays to get some time to read. So if at all you have to read, there is something else you must sacrifice, and mostly that ends up as my sleep. So, and then if there is some work to be done now, how much ever I can adjust, I'm not able to bring myself to terms like I can read and then do the work. Maybe we are brought up that way. So I prefer always to finish all my work and maybe 10 to 11 in the night to sit and devote some times for book. The only thing is sometimes you can't put the book down.
Yeah.
And you feel like reading the whole night, and then see that time you feel very good. But when you get up in the morning, you have the result of that the whole day ahead. But still, I do it, and I really would love to continue that way also.
Okay. And do you ever like faced a writer's block? If so, how do you deal with it?
See, actually, I used to say in my previous interviews that I never had anything like that. Whenever I feel like I could write, I always had that. But I think I didn't know for the first time in my life, this month I am having some issue like that. Whether it is something else that is bogging my head down or some other issues, I don't know. But then I did have a little difficulty last week for the first time when I was trying to put something inside. Like, it was not writer's block. I will write, but I'm not happy.
Yeah,
So I keep redrafting it. I think this is the first time I'm facing that sort of an issue. So I don't know what to attribute it to the climate or the environment or something that's happening in life. I don't
yeah. Okay. And do you have any message that you want to convey to our audience?
So definitely I have a message, and I'm, maybe partial to women because I feel that we deserve more for all that we give. We're not getting what we want, we are actually giving. So whether you are in a happy life, you're a married life, you're a spinster, you're a daughter, you're a whatever it is, I feel women, especially once we grow up, we are not getting our due. So I would like to tell women only this: there is a limit for adjusting. So I think we should stop adjusting at one point and start demanding what is our due. So that is my message to women. See, you may be 40 years old, you may be 50 years old, you have been married for 20 years, but still, if you think you have done so many things, you have been, before you became a wife and you entered your house, there are so many things which you used to do. So even now, it is not too late. You must put your best foot forward and start doing something for yourself. See, other than building your confidence, it does so many things in your life. I think I have a podcast for women. In my podcast, I call it as Rise and Shine, Woman. It's never too late to fly. So that is my message I would like to give. It is not too late, however old you are. See, as I feel like as a mother, I have two daughters. It is my duty to do my best for them. Okay. So what I want women to realize is, if you want to do the best for your family, then the first thing you would do is doing the best for yourself and taking care of yourself. And our children are quite smart nowadays. You can't preach to them and get away with it. When you are what you are doing, you are setting as a model for how your daughter should be treated in another's house, how your son should treat the woman in his life. So I think as a woman, we should be very careful to take care of ourselves and set an example, not just by talking, by really doing something for ourselves. Our family should be proud of us. That is what I should say, in the sense that she has been bold enough. There will be so many people to talk, I love you. But then, like I say, no, those opinions are not going to pay your bills. So do something for yourself as far as you feel it is right. I think you should go on.
Yeah, and this sometimes you have to stand up for yourself. No one, at some point, no one is gonna do that. So you gotta have to make that step. It's such
That's
a
definitely.
Okay, I had such a great time, talking with you. It's been a long time since I have done this, so it's really nice. I had such a great time. So your books are available on online on Amazon and Flipkart, so people can get it from there. Ebook is also available, right? A Kindle
Yeah,
version.
ebook, and I think the audiobook is also available for certain books.
Okay, okay. So I'll share the links in the description when I save the live. And yeah, it's been really nice. It was really refreshing, finally, like to do something like this.
Yeah, me too, Zainab. Actually, today we have a celebration. We have a new year. It is a
Yeah,
new year for us. And I was
New Year.
actually thinking whether I would be able to make it.
Yeah,
But then I think you have come out of the way, even when you have your Ramadan fast, to come and hold this interview for me, even though you have so many of your own problems. And I'm really thankful to you for that. And I'm happy that on such a nice day, we are able to share some message to make so many women happy. Really.
Happy New Year. I wish you all the best for everything, and I'm really looking forward to read, your next short stories collection. So yeah, really. really looking forward to that. I'm
Thank you.
gonna save this live on my the Instagram. So if anybody just joined in, they can like catch up the whole interview from there. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much for doing
Thank
this
you.
again.